Today I will explain to you as simple as possible how the enemies of the latest MOC work. So let's start with the first node, first wave, where we first got this big wolf right here. And luckily for us, this wolf is quite straightforward, since every time him or an ally of his attacks, he will gain +1 stack of this thing. When he has 4 of it, he will enter this moon rage state, which looks like this, where it's glowing a bit. And this just means that he has more speed and he will gain access to more special attacks. But the most interesting attack of his is this AoE attack, where he will apply these eye things on your head. The takeaway is basically, when you see this thing on your head, make sure that you attack him once, since that will dispel it. Because when you have this thing on your head for 2 turns, then your ally will get like debuffed and can't do anything for 1 whole turn. So you don't want to get to that point, so make sure that you just attack him once. As you can see, the one of Hereby is glowing a bit more bright. This means she got 1 turn left before she gets that debuff where she cannot do anything for 1 turn. So this is the only irritating thing about this wolf. And to get him out of this state, if you have sustaining issues, just weakness break him, which will just happen automatically, I assume, since if you weakness break him, he will go out of this state. But he will also go out of this state automatically because of this thing right here, which will spawn in the action bar and will just slowly creep up. And when it gets a turn, he exits the Moonrage state. But that is like the worst case scenario. At that point, I don't think you can clear this MOC in enough cycles. So this thing, you can just basically ignore. But now you know what it means. And then we got this other enemy beside him. And the thing with him is that every time an ally of yours skills or ults him, what happens is that he will like get 1 stack. It is actually in percentages, 33%, but it acts like stacks basically. So he starts with 0 out of 3 stacks. When you attack him with that or skill, he gets +1. And he can also give himself these stacks. And that is when he like does this AoE attack to all your allies, which in most cases charges this thing to 3 out of 3. And when he has 3 out of 3 after this AoE attack, he will summon these fishes on the field. But irritating thing about this AoE attack of his is that it has a chance to apply weaken on your allies, which is shown right here. And irritating thing about this weakness debuff is that your ally will now do less damage. So basically, when you see this guy do like an AoE attack, pay attention to this icon right here on your DPSs, because you want to make sure that you cleanse this ASAP, as he will do like 20% less damage. And it lasts for 2 turns or something. Or you just restart when your DPS gets hits with this thing, so you can just clear this MOC faster. And the other irritating thing about this enemy is that when he enters this state where he summons these fishes, is that his toughness gets locked. It is like hidden behind this text. But basically, you just got to bite through this one. It lasts like for a turn or 2, but you want to kill him like before that already favorably, because he has this very irritating single target attack, which has like a very high chance to imprison the hit ally. And when your DPS gets imprisoned or another important ally of yours, I just recommend you to restart, because when you get imprisoned, your action gets delayed and you cannot do anything for 1 turn. But yeah, even if you cleanse that imprisonment, your action would have already been delayed. So if, for example, my Hereby got hit with that imprisonment, I can afford it if I just ulted and skilled with her. Sure, but if my Alexa gets hit with that, I just restart, because I want to squeeze out every bit of damage possible in this MOC, because they are very tanky. And it can also mess up, if applicable, your speed tuning. And then also regarding these fish things, all you need to know is kill them, because when they die, they apply a debuff on enemies where their defense gets reduced by a little bit, which is always appreciated. Alright then, let's go to Svarog now. The thing with Svarog is this. His first turn, he will do 2 actions. He will always do like 2 actions, I think. The first attack of his first turn will be just a single target attack, nothing special. And the other attack of that turn will also be a single target attack. It will delay the action of the hit ally. It is not by that much, but still, favorably, that delay action is on my Hereby or Lucha instead of my Diherta or Anaxa. So that's just an RNG thing you got to win. And then the second turn off, he will summon this irritating hand. And the thing with this hand is that, as you might have guessed, it grabs a random ally of yours. Now, Lucha has been grabbed. That means they cannot do anything now. And you want to free them. And to free them, you just got to weakness break this hand. Then Lucha will be saved. So save your ult for Svarog's second turn, first action, and hope that your DPSs don't get grabbed or whatever important of yours, so that you can weakness break this hand ASAP. Or before he grabs an ally, you can weakness break it also to delay its action a bit if you think you can manage to kill it in 1 go. But that's all you need to know about this hand. But then the second action of Svarog's second turn, so after he summons this hand, he will do like a AoE attack And irritating thing attack is that it has a chance to reduce the defense of the hit allies. So as you can see, everyone got their defense reduced. Luckily, we can just ignore this if you have a good sustainer, if you can. Or just go sustainless and raw dog this wall side, that's possible too. But all you really need to know is that you see hand, you make sure you weakness break it. That's it. And that Svarog, his first turn, second attack, will delay the action of the hit ally and hope that it is not a DPS of yours. If it is and mess up your wall, flow of your team, just restart. And he will do that attack also like his second or fourth turn, I don't know. But by that time, I hope Svarog is already like pretty close to that. So now let's go to the second node and let's start with this enemy on the left. The thing you need to enemy is this. He can enter this like charging state if he has like a certain amount of stacks here, but you want to make sure that he doesn't get these stacks to begin with. So then the question arises, how does he gain these stacks then? Well, he gains these stacks when he wants to absorb the corrosion of your allies. And corrosion is this red HP thing right here. So that means that this enemy can do attacks which applies this red HP to your allies. This enemy can do it too. All you need to know is when you see red transparent like HP, make sure that you heal it back. So that's why a healer would be recommended. So you can heal this red HP thing back easier. You can also heal it like back when you attack enemies, and the more enemies you've attacked, the more of this red HP you heal back. But all you need to know is that when this enemy tries to absorb this red HP from your allies, he will gain these stacks depending on how many allies he has absorbed this thing from. The thing is, if he cannot absorb it, so it's all healed back, then this enemy, his defense will be reduced. And that's something we really need in this MOC. So the takeaway is, when you see red HP, make sure you heal it back ASAP before this thing its turn. He tries to absorb it like on his second turn or something, but takeaway is, heal this red thing back. Because yes, his defense will be reduced when he cannot absorb it. But also, when you have healed this thing back, you will get like a buff, which increases the damage of your next attack, which is always appreciated. So if you have a healer, you can heal this red HP back and more consistent. So then we got this enemy on the right, and you might have noticed that he can like engage in a duel with an ally of yours. And when he does that, that means that that ally, so Silverwolf in this case, can only attack him now. And that all my other allies will do less damage to this enemy now. And you might have also noticed that he gets this thing right here. And this thing like reduces depending on how many damage you did with the ally that got marked. So the more damage Silverwolf does, the more percentage he will lose. But we don't want to get to 0, since when we see, okay, he has entered this dual state with an ally of yours, the aim is now to weakness break this thing ASAP. Because when you weakness break him, he will give all your allies for 2 turns a damage bonus, which would look something like this. So it's the same icon as like every other damage bonus you have. So just know, you see, he has marked an ally of yours, weakness break him ASAP, then all your allies will get a nice damage bonus for like 2 turns, which you desperately need in this MOC. And yes, when he has entered this dual state with an ally of yours, every time he attacks, he will do like more damage, and after 2 turns, he will do a big AoE attack, which is indicated by this text here. And yes, we can reduce his percentage to 0, but the focus is weakness break him and get that damage bonus. That's it. So now, let's go to Aventurine. Aventurine has like some bounce attacks, and this AoE attack where he reduces the energy of all your allies. It's irritating, yes. But the most interesting thing about him is that we can enter this gambling battle with him. And as you can see, Acheron got marked for this battle with him, and we got these numbers here. And as you might have guessed, the aim is to get more points than him, and we just got 1 attack to do. So we hope we get more points than him. And the thing is, Aventurine starts this duel between 2 or 6 points. And whenever we attack any of his dices, we can get between 1 and 6 points. And that is per dice. So the more die we attack, the more points we can get. But it's just RNG. The aim is to get more points. So what happens when we have more points? First of all, our ult will be available immediately, so we will get our ult. The other nice thing is that we will get like a damage buff, which lasts for a turn or 2, which is like 50%, which we really need against this fight against Aventurine. So it's just RNG. Hope that your character gets lucky with her attack, that you can get more points than him, and that he of course starts this duel with like 2 points. And if you cannot manage to get it, just restart. And of course, that the marked ally is your DPS, of course, because I don't care about the damage bonus for Fuswan. So it's just restart, 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 and hope that your DPS gets selected and that your DPS gets more points. It's a pain in the ass, but if you have trouble clearing this MOC, we need this damage bonus. And by the way, when the points are equal, nothing happens. So the aim is to get more points. And then of course, what happens when we have less points than Aventurine? Well, he will like attack us, and he has a high chance to imprison the hit ally. And if you get imprisoned, I just recommend you to restart, because even if you cleanse that imprisonment, your action would have already been delayed. And plus, on top of that, we will guaranteely get a debuff, which will increase our damage taken. So it will make surviving a bit more difficult, but you can just ignore this, since it doesn't really hinder us. Since the aim is to get this damage bonus for our DPS. And now for the second phase of this battle, as you can see, now all our allies can enter this battle against Aventurine. And the same thing applies like here. Just make sure that your DPSs or sub DPSs get this damage bonus. That's it. So basically it comes down to restart, restart and restart and hope that you get lucky. But I want you to remember this though. You can play this MOC with Seridra, because the last day of this MOC will be on Sunday the 14th of September, and Seridra will potentially release on the 3rd of September. And you can also play this MOC of course with High Silence, because she is also right around the corner. But if you're like, I don't know whether I want to summon for Seridra or not, you can wait on the 9th of September, because the 3.7 drip marketing will potentially be starting that day. But you can also be like, I want to know the kits of Evernight and the new Dong Heng. Well, on the 12th of September, the 3.6 live stream is to be expected. So you can make a better educated decision whether you want to summon for Seridra or not, or plan out your Jace better. But basically, my point is that you still got lots of time to clear this MOC. Just play with whoever you want, take your time, don't stress. I thank you for paying attention and see you next time. Bye.